Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm intuitive reader Bryan Stafford from Stafford Tarot and soulintention1111.ca. And today's Tarot Talk topic is going to be about how decks choose you. Now, before we get into that Tarot Talk discussion, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's new at Stafford Tarot and Soul Intention and some of the upcoming events to look forward to over the next month. And then we'll get into that Tarot Talk discussion. Now, if you're watching this from my website or just interested to view the sample readings, feel free to skip ahead in the video about 20-30 minutes, as I will be offering those free short readings to those who show interest in the broadcast during this broadcast. Now, if anyone's interested at all, just write interested in the chat to receive a free reading and I will add you to the list. I am offering up to 6 free short remote distant readings for anyone who shows interest during this broadcast. So let me know right away. So what's new? Well, at Soul Intention, we have a lot of new workshops and events coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. The next workshop that I'll be doing is on Thursday, June 25th. I will be Introduction to Shadow Work. Very good workshop. We're going to get right into depth about what shadow work is, how to do it, what does it mean, and I'm going to show you some sample books and journals that I use to do my shadow work. I have like 5 or 6 different kinds, and we'll go through that, and you can find the best resource for yourself to do your own shadow work exercises. Then I'm going to be offering a full moon oracle pull on Sunday, June 28th, 2026. Keep watch for that on the Soul Intention website as well as the Stafford Tarot website. That's soulintention1111.ca and staffordtarot.com. Both of those websites do feature the oracle moon pulls as well as the askagraywitch.com website does as well. On Monday, June 29th, we have a full moon meditation. This is happening online and in person at the shop. So join us on the 29th. It'll start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be run by Melissa, our spiritual channeler. Check it out. All the information is available on the website. The Sacred Meadow Circle Empowerment Group will be getting together on Thursday, July 2nd. 2026. It's going to start about 7 o'clock Eastern Time. That is free to attend. Anyone who's just interested to meet like-minded individuals, it really is an empowerment support group to support and guide each of us on our individual paths. On Saturday, July 11th, I'm really excited to be doing our next Kids Club event. We're going to be doing Wish Kids for Kids, where kids will be setting their intentions and sending their wishes out to manifest. Really looking forward to that. It's going to start about 12 o'clock Eastern Time on that date, on the 11th of July. It's about $30 per participant. It pays for the wish kit as well as the participant. So check that out. Lots of information about that is available on the soulintention1111.ca website. On Tuesday, July 14th, I'm going to be doing a new moon oracle poll. Going to be sending that out to all the websites. What an oracle poll is it's a generalized reading, basically, for the general public on both full moons and new moons. I do it every 2 weeks around those times of year, around that time of month, really. I have an energy work workshop that's coming up on Thursday, July 16th, 2026. This is going to be a collaboration with 2 different service providers, myself and Ella. We're going to be getting together to talk about energy work and how dowsing rods work and how that extends to pendulums. And we'll be showing you an activity where you can practice your own energy work. Really excited about that. Please join us. There is online registration available if you want to book your spot for any of these events, any of these workshops. On Saturday, July 18th, 2026, I'm really excited to attend the Midsummer Witches Market in Guelph, Ontario. It's going to be held at the Legion. Check that out. All the information, again, available on that website. You can always check all of the markets available at Luna Events. Canada.ca. That is the organizer of the markets that we get involved in the local area. And then on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026, I'm going to be offering my next Tarot Talk live event. It's going to start at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, similar to tonight. And that Tarot Talk topic is going to be about intuition. Now, tonight's Tarot Talk topic is about how decks choose you. Now, before we get into that Tarot Talk topic, I'm just going to quickly also talk about some of the weekly services we have available at Soul Intention. You can always get charms, runes, and tarot readings any day of the week by my business partner, Cindy, or myself at Soul Intention. We're located at 497 Woolwich Street in Guelph, Ontario. Come check us out. It's a great store. We have over 60 local artisans being featured, including 11 local authors, as well as a plethora of service providers, all available to meet your needs and to set appointments to meet you at the store. Some of those service providers are in weekly, so every Tuesday we have Janice Moffat offering mediumship readings. Every Wednesday we have Christine Weil offering astrology and Reiki sessions, and she'll also be offering that on Thursdays as well. And on Sundays, we have Maxim Pashinin, who's a very talented palm reader. He's going to be joining us. I should mention when the store is actually open. So Monday to Friday from 11 till 6, Saturday from 10 to 5, and Sunday from 12 till 4. You can always check us out during those hours, or you can reach out to us at that website that I shared with you. There's online registrations available. There's chats. There is question input fields. There's all sorts of ways you can reach out to us on that website. So check us out. Feel free to come in, pull up a chair, have a tea. Let's chat. And there's really no obligation to buy anything. Yes, we're a metaphysical shop. We like to supply people with their witchcraft supplies and crafting materials, as well as crystals and books and candles and all sorts of other things. Plus, the artisans' products gives a wide range of gift ideas. So check us out at 497 Woolwich Street in Guelph, Ontario. soulintention1111.ca. So let's get into that Tarot Talk discussion. How decks choose you. The way that this works, there is some misconceptions around this that I'm just going to quickly go over. One of them is that there's a misconception that a deck has to choose you, that you can't go to a store and buy a deck. The deck has to either be given to you or call to you in some way or find its way to you. And yes, that is a very meaningful way of achieving your tarot deck, but it's not the only way. You can go to a store similar to our store, Soul Intention. We sell tarot decks and oracle decks and all sorts of different types of modalities and tools that you can use for divination. And a lot of times it's just a matter of looking at the variety, the selection, and what calls to you. What are you drawn to? Sometimes there's specific imagery in the decks itself that we can connect with. And I always tell people that the more that you connect with your deck, the more it's going to help you, the more insightful it's going to be, the more you can associate with a deck when you can be familiar with its contents, or when you can relate to the artist's rendition or understanding of the tarot. Now, what I mean by this, every tarot deck, and just to clarify, I'm not going to be discussing oracle decks in this quick discussion. That can be another topic another time. And I did talk about this previously. If you want to go back and look at some of the previous Tarot Talk live events that I've done, they're all saved and available on staffordtarot.com. You can click on the blog, choose the live events, and you can see all of them that I've done over the past 6 years. Lots of information there, lots of topics discussed, as well as those free sample readings. This is the original Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Rider and Wyatt were the practitioners who came up with the symbolisms and all of the different components and contents for the deck. And Pamela Smith was the artist who created the imagery. And these three worked together to form the original deck. So this is the original deck. This is what it looks like in its box. This deck is the original that all of the tarot is based on. This was the very first, I would say, first constructed deck, and then all the other decks were based off of this one. Different artist renditions or different understandings or different perspectives on the messages of the tarot is where you get all the different decks. So this deck and let's see, this deck are very similar to each other. They follow the same symbolisms. However, this deck is done through a witch practitioner's point of view, or a Wiccan point of view, or a pagan nature point of view. It uses watercolor art, which is just beautiful, by Danielle Barlow, and the cards were created by Phyllis Carrot. This is one of my favorite decks. I do use it in readings. I've used it in a lot of my Tarot Talk Live events, but also it's a great deck. And if you feel drawn, or if you can relate with a magical practice, pagan illustration, or symbolisms of witchcraft or Wicca, that might be a deck that would call to you. Maybe it's not so much about witchcraft, but about fantasy. There's all sorts of different decks that you can choose from. This is the Fairy Tarot deck. All the tarot associations and messages have been applied to the world of fairies. Or maybe dragons are more your thing. This is the Dragon Tarot deck. As you can see, it uses the different illustrations of relationships with dragons and the magical practices of dragon energy. Maybe you want to get more practical. I mean, this is a familiars tarot deck, all based on the different types of familiars, different animals, different ways in which animals work with the craft and with witches. Maybe you have a specific animal in mind that you're drawn to. Cat, dog, crow. There's all sorts of different tarot, and these give the same tarot messages from different perspectives, from the perspective of a cat, from the perspective of a dog, or from the perspective of a crow. Depending on how you resonate with that. Some people see animals as part of their practice. When you can relate to a raven, for example, you may be interested in a deck that has ravens in it. And there's so much more, and I could just go on and on and on with all the different types of decks that there are. But the point is how you resonate with the deck. Sometimes it's the image that'll call to you, and it's just you just know that that's the deck for you. Other times it's the theme of the deck, the way that the deck is themed, and if you can relate with that. So how do decks choose you given this? It's the way that they call to us. It's almost like the deck finds their way to us, or to our hands. You can feel the draw going towards that specific deck. That's how you know the deck has chosen you. When you have that relationship right off the bat, right off the start, when you can relate with the messages, when you open up the deck and you're looking through all of the imagery, and it's just, you can relate with all of the different ways in which those messages are constructed. That's how you know the deck is for you. Don't ignore those inkling feelings, that first impression, that intuition that might tell you, steer you towards that deck. Follow your instincts, trust your intuition, and go by what you resonate with. A deck that might work for me may not work for you, and vice versa, depending on how we each resonate. So don't allow anyone to tell you what deck you should really start with. What you'll find online, the main advice to get started is to start with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, because all of the other decks are based on the symbolism. So if you know this deck, you can basically read any other one. But you don't have to start there. I would say go by your intuition, trust your instincts, and listen to that intuition when it's telling you which deck is calling to you. Some decks do find their way to you, as I said. This is my Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It is the original Rider-Waite-Smith design. This deck I've had since I was 12 years old. You know, I was at home, I had no familiarity with tarot whatsoever, and a, 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 a a daughter of a friend of my mother's just happened to be at the house that day when I was 12 years old, and she had the deck and a book, and she was frustrated, and she said, I don't know, I can't get this deck to work, you try. And she gave me the deck and she said, you keep it, you try and see if you can get it to work. And I spent a good portion of 3 years until I was 15 learning the deck, memorizing the book, understanding the meaning of each card. And it wasn't until I realized that if I just followed my intuitive sense in the way that I was reading the cards, my messages and readings were much more accurate and on point. As long as I followed that intuitive sense, my readings were right on. And so much to the point that I did scare a couple friends at a young age. And so I devoted to giving readings only to myself for a good almost 20 years. I gave self readings, and they were so beneficial to me that when I got older, I decided to then expand out and start offering readings to others, and hence started giving readings to others again. And I've been doing it professionally now for just over 7 years now. But it all started with that one tarot deck that found its way to me. It had a previous owner that wasn't working well with it. They weren't getting along, and it found its way to me, and we've gotten along ever since. I still use that deck today. It is the deck that I use for all of my one-card impression pulls that I do at the beginning of each reading, as well as I offer free one-card impression pulls to anyone who asks while I'm at markets, festivals, or while I'm at the store. If I didn't follow that draw, if I didn't accept the cards coming to me, um, I wouldn't be where I am today as a tarot reader. I wouldn't have that ability or that skill or that resource. Tarot has really been a resource to me as I've worked with it through over the years. And the number of different decks that I've worked with really expanded my knowledge on the tarot and the different perspectives of the tarot messages. And so I've built up quite a variety of decks that I use in my readings, which is why I can do trans-dimensional tarot readings, which are just looking at the different dimensions of different decks within one tarot session. I am still drawn to tarot decks. I still collect them. I have quite a collection of tarot decks because of the way that they speak to me, the way that they choose me while I find them. That it really does feel that way. And so just follow through with that, and you might be surprised yourself how well you associate with the deck that calls to you. I do hope that this makes sense. If anyone has any questions at all, please feel free to write them in the chat, as well as if anyone is interested to receive a free tarot reading, I am offering free remote distant readings to the first 6 people who show interest in the chat. So don't hesitate. Let me know if you want that reading. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for your message. Lets me know that the messages are working, so I appreciate that. Thanks for the shout out. It's good to see you here. And let me know if you'd like a free reading tonight. Each reading takes about 15 minutes. They are short readings, short, remote, distant readings. So what that means is remote, meaning that, you know, we're on this live chat. It's a one-way conversation, really. Everyone is watching within the chat. However, I can see the messages in the chat, and so as you write the messages, I watch for them to come up, and I just give the readings generally one way. It's called a distant reading because there isn't a lot of interaction. If I was doing this over Zoom and there was a back and forth conversation, that would be a non-distant remote reading. A distant remote reading is like a one-way. Also, distant remote readings can involve recorded messages that are sent to you so that you can watch them in your own time. I do offer those kinds of readings as well. Thank you so much, Lindsay. I would definitely give you a reading. You'll be first on the list. I've added you to my list, and anyone else who might be interested, just let me know. Write interested in the chat, and I will add you to that list. You'll be next. Thank you for that question, Lindsay. You might have already said this, but what's a good deck to buy for a beginner? What I had mentioned previously was the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It is the original design and has the original symbolisms that the tarot was built on. If you can understand this deck, you can understand basically any other deck. If you find this complicated or hard to learn, you can get beginners decks to learn this deck. They have the messages written in the border or sometimes explained on the card itself. There are different beginners decks that you can look for. There are even decks for kids that can really be used as well learning tools to get started in tarot. They break all the messages down into more easily understood and comprised messages. So just that's an option as well. I hope that helps. So thank you so much. Anyone else who might have questions, just feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll watch for them. Why don't we get started in those readings? So Lindsay, if you let me know if you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on, I can get started on your reading. I always start my readings with a 1-card impression pull from that trusted deck that I got when I was 12 years old. This is the actual deck, hence why it's so worn down and a bit grubby, but that's my trusted deck. And then after I do that 1-card impression pull, I'm going to move to this deck where I'll focus on a topic or question of your choice, or it can be left general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages you need to hear are what show up, but it's up to you if you want to refine what you're looking for from the reading itself. Then we can extend further into other decks depending on where we take the reading from there. I usually make suggestions based on how the reading has come out so far. I do 3-card pull. We look at how those 3 cards speak to each other to get the messages. Thank you, Jody. Absolutely, I'll add you to the list. So first Lindsay, then Jody, and anyone else who might be on the call who would be interested, just let me know. I'll add you in. So let's get started. Lindsay, if you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on, just let me know in the chat. Otherwise, it'll be left general. And you know, it's just general messages. I always often recommend general messages in case you have like more than one question or you can't narrow it down. The general messages are usually what you need to hear anyways, and quite often it'll include what you're looking for. So I'm just connecting with your energies, Lindsay, and charging the cards with that intention. Now, the card that I get for you, Lindsay, is the Knight of Swords. The card looks like this. Swords represent heavy thoughts and intellectual concepts. 10 can be a repetitive pattern, but what's coming across for me is like spiritual development when you get to that end result and then you go on to the next stage or the next level of vibration and in an enlightenment of some kind. And so for you, I feel like you're going through the lessons that lead to that enlightenment. All of these heavy thoughts are depicted as swords, stabbing into this person, holding him down, pinning him down. That's how heavy these thoughts are on this person's mind. If he could just remove some of these heavy thoughts or some of these swords by working through the heavy thoughts, he'll eventually be able to get up. This card will flip around and he'll no longer be pinned down by all these swords. In the meantime, it looks like this. I would say for you, Lindsay, you're working through this heavy thought process that will eventually free you and allow you to get up and be less restrained. I do hope that that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about that, Lindsay, and you requested a general reading, so I'll continue with that. I'm just going to pull 3 cards from my Morgan Greer deck, and we'll look at how those cards speak to each other to get those messages. Now, interesting cards, a High Arcana, 2 suits have come out. I feel like I should start with the practical messages and work my way towards that more important message. There's this practical message of the Nine of Swords reversed. This is often about working through the heavy thoughts that are holding you back. So because you're in this position now with all these heavy thoughts pinning you down, and the reading is about working through these heavy thoughts, I think you're in the process of doing this, Lindsay. I think you're doing the hard work on internally. I think you're working through these heavy thoughts so that they no longer affect you. You'll eventually be able to remove these binds and no longer be held back. It's about creating balance between two aspects of your life. This is about things that you need for yourself. This is the Two of Pentacles. Pentacles represent what we need. That's why in tarot they often represent health or finances, because really, what more do we need in life? And so we have these needs and they're being balanced, and almost like a choice. And you have to decide what you need for yourself. This is a card that I often like to attach to the message. You know, you have to, it's not selfish to put yourself first. Sometimes you have to put yourself first. You have to balance out your own needs. You know, quite often when we put ourselves first, we are then more grounded and secured to show support and help the people around us. But if we ignore our needs and what we need for ourselves, it can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and then we're still trying to put other people ahead. So just know, Lindsay, that it's not selfish to put yourself first. Sometimes you have to make that decision to work through the heavy thoughts and make that balance in what you need for yourself. Now, the next card is the Hermit card reversed. This is about no longer being introverted, no longer staying internal and opening up. You're now coming out of a shell, so to speak, when the card looks like this. If the card came out this way, Lindsay, it would be about going internal, keeping this to yourself, becoming the introvert. So just know that it's the opposite. It's like you're opening up. Maybe it used to look like this, and now you're opening up to a point that you can share. You can be yourself. It could be about expression, but it's no longer about holding it within to yourself anymore. That could be what's helping you work through these heavy thoughts. You know, quite often when we go internal and we become introverted with our thoughts, we can hold on and carry those heavy thoughts as if they're our own weight, and it just adds to the weight and it just gets heavier and heavier. So I really like that this reading has a positive theme to it. Has a positive feeling in its energy. It's almost like the work that leads to something better. Like if you put the hard work in now, there's reward. Personal achievements type of reward. I do hope that this makes sense, Lindsay. Let me know if you have any questions. I would like to extend on this reading further. Given that you're opening up and finding balance with aspects of your life and working through these heavy thoughts, I wonder if it would be helpful to look at it from my heart chakra deck. I use this deck quite often. My heart chakra deck gives great insight in terms of what people need for themselves. If I apply that to this reading, it may give you good advice or insight moving forward. Thank you for that message, Lindsay. I'm glad that this makes sense. I would say that the message seems like it leads somewhere positive as long as you do the work or continue the work that it says you've already been doing. Now, I asked the heart chakra deck basically for advice moving forward, and it came out all opposed or all reversed. That's often a sign for me, Lindsay, that it's not going to be the easiest advice to follow, but I'm going to go through them anyways. What I find interesting about the cards that have come out is originally you had a High Arcana 2 suits, and here we have a High Arcana 2 suits. So you can start to see a repetitive pattern being created. High Arcana 2 suits. Now, one High Arcana is about spiritual development and journey. 2 suits is about decision to be made, a decision about your spiritual journey, perhaps, on how you move forward. Now, the cards are really interesting. I'm going to go through it the same way I did with your reading, just the practical cards first, leading more towards that higher, more important message. Um, Interestingly enough, we have the find balance card reversed. What I find interesting about this is you're working through and balancing your needs and what you need for yourself, and then the cards are basically saying you want to be careful with that balance. You want to make sure that you do it properly, that you do it effectively, or that you're strategic about it perhaps, or make sure that the balance that you're creating is actually about what you need for yourself and not about what others need. Um, Now, the clarity of belief card is reversed. And this is often about having to believe in yourself, having to give yourself that confidence, the security, the grounding, the focus. Um, I would be careful with this card being reversed. It often represents somebody who may not be fully believing in yourself. You may not give yourself the true potential or the true credit that you deserve. So just keep that in mind, Lindsay. You don't want to work against yourself or be your worst enemy in that. If you're not believing in yourself and you're not finding this balance, I could see that creating more disruption. So just make sure you're looking at it in terms of what you need for yourself. This card, when it's reversed, it speaks to me as not going with the flow. You kind of have to do things your own way. And that's what's coming across for me in this card. I feel like you need to follow your instincts, trust your intuition, listen to that inkling message internally that's telling you what you need for yourself. I think that's a much more important message than what anyone else is going to tell you. Follow your heart. What's really standing out for me is how he has his hand over his heart, and I really think that's what he's using to communicate and guide himself. And I think that that might help you, Lindsay, if you guide yourself with your heart. Just listen to your heart. Allow your heart to confirm the messages. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, you have swords, you have equivalent of wands, you have equivalent of swords with pentacles, no cups. And I think it's just as important to look at what doesn't show up as what does, because what does show up are the messages you needed to hear today about the actions that you take, what you need for yourself, and how you're thinking about this. Cups or chalices represent emotion in tarot. And because you don't have any showing here, I wonder if you understand your emotions really well, Lindsay, if you've done the internal work on your emotions, and that is going to be your strength. Listening to your emotions, allowing your heart to guide you forward, I think is your best bet, is your inner power that you can trust and rely on. When I bring this reading right back to where you are now, it's no wonder you have so much on your mind that you're being pinned down, but there's all this work being done. And that's where I see this as being positive reinforcement. I think the cards are trying to tell you that, you know, you got this, you're doing it, just don't give up, don't stop, keep going. That could be this opening up. I do hope that this is helpful, Lindsay. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Hi, Arissa. Thank you so much. I will definitely add you to the list. And Louise, thank you so much. I will add you to the list too. So I'm just finishing with Lindsay. Then we'll do Jody, then Arissa, and then Louise. And I have 2 more spots left. If anyone else may be interested, just let me know. Am I missing any messages? No, I don't think so. So thank you so much, Lindsay. Let me know if that made sense or if there was anything that wasn't quite clear. Otherwise, I'll start to clear the decks and put them away and move on to the next person. So Jody, if you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on, please put it in the chat. Otherwise, it can be left general. Similar to how we did with Lindsay, just a general reading on what you need to hear for yourself. So thank you, Lindsay. I do hope that this was helpful. Okay, Jody, if you're ready, let me know if you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on. Otherwise, it can be left general. I'm just going to connect with your energy while you're on the call, and I'm charging this deck with that one card impression pull, just an impression telling me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. Jody, what I get for you is the Strength card. This is a higher arcana. It's very themed, more important message in the reading. It's really about that inner strength, connecting with that inner strength. I think you understand this inner strength that you have, or the card may be reversed, which means you're not connecting with this inner strength that exists. Because the card came out this way, I think you understand what this inner strength is. And in fact, you might even be able to utilize it if you can just connect with it. Utilize that inner strength, Jody. I really think that that is a positive place to be. Thank you so much for that confirmation, Lindsay, that yes, it makes sense. Yes, sometimes the messages do get delayed, either by the time that I see them in the chat. There's sometimes like a 10 to 30-second delay. So just if we could just have some patience with the technology that we're using. I'll try to have patience as well. Let's go general, Jody. Good idea. Wow, Jody, 2 higher arcana and a suit. One of the higher arcana is the Strength card, exactly where you're sitting in the moment. You can see how these 2 decks have depicted the same card a little differently, but it's the same message, same meaning. They're both the Strength card. And since you have the strength in the moment where you're sitting energetically now, and then you have the strength for your reading, I really think that this is about where you're at now. This inner strength is really the theme of this reading. Now, the other higher arcana is the Judgment card reversed. Not being too hard on yourself, being able to I think that you might be being hard on yourself, and that's why these 2 cards are bookending your reading. You have this incredible strength, and then not being fair to yourself, having this really heavy judgment on yourself. If the judgment was coming from other people around you, it would look this way. So just know that it could be that you're being hard on yourself. Now, the next card is interesting because it's the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups is often about emotional overwhelm. It shows in the picture a whole bunch of cups. There's something different in each cup, and they're all coming out of clouds, almost like a realization, or being presented to you in some way, being discovered. And so when we realize this much going on, it can be overwhelming to see in the big picture. The advice that often comes with this card is if you compartmentalize each cup, work on each cup or each emotion individually so that you start to get somewhere. You start to work through the cups instead of looking at it all at once, not knowing where to begin. So just break it down into steps so that you're not overwhelmed emotionally. I think that's going to allow you to not be so hard on yourself, not have that judgment upon yourself, and that's when you'll really be utilizing that internal strength. Now, because this reading is going internal with internal strength and this potential, and this being hard on yourself at the same time, I'm wondering if it would be helpful to ask my Witch's Wisdom deck for some messages from deep within to come to the surface. I think it might be helpful for you to just listen to the messages that you need to hear for yourself, given that this is happening. Let me know if you have any questions so far, Jody, or if anything has or hasn't made sense. I'm just charging this deck with the intention of the reading right from the beginning and just asking it what you need to hear. So So really interesting questions. Our cards have come out: a higher arcana, a court card, well, and another higher arcana. So what's really interesting about this is, again, we're getting repetitive patterns. Two higher arcanas bookending the reading, with two higher arcanas bookending the reading, and a lower arcana in the center, same as your reading. I find that interesting. Usually when patterns repeat themselves in tarot, it's often trying to hammer home a message. So listen to these messages and let me know how you resonate with them. Okay, Jody? I'm going to start with the Witch of Air card. This is about having a mindset, having a thought or a recognized pattern in your mind, and being able to throw it out into fruition, being able to manifest it based on the way that you're thinking about it, and then creating a plan and going from there. The Witch of Air is about using your intellect, your knowledge, in order to manifest your desires. The Shaman card reversed is what I'm going to talk about next. This is the first higher arcana that I'm going to just discuss in your reading, on this part of the reading, I should say, for the Witch's Wisdom cards. The Shaman card reversed is often about not connecting to your instincts, not following your intuition, not listening to that inner voice that's trying to guide you yourself. Once you do start listening to that inner voice, this card flips around and you're now paying attention, and even the subtleties of it, you're starting to come through. It shows the depiction of a shaman who's working a drum, and he can hear the birds, the wind in the trees, the leaves, and he's surrounded by plants, mugwort plants actually. And so he can smell them, he can feel the wind, he can hear it. He's using all of his senses, and in order to go on an inner journey. It's about discovering the inner parts of himself. When it's reversed, there's some sort of obstacle in that. There could be a challenge or something you need to resolve first before you can do that inner work. So just be patient. Don't be hard on yourself. Quite often, if you're hard on yourself with that Judgment card, it could interfere with that, listening to those inner messages. So just, cut yourself some slack, give yourself a break, allow yourself some leniency. A lot of times those messages internally are very subtle and can take time and effort to even recognize what they're trying to say. Now, the Healing card is what I want to go through next. 8 numerology is about reaching success, and this is about healing. If it was this way, it would be another story. I'm not going to go there because it came out this way. It's really about the healing process, connecting with nature, doing things for yourself that you can heal, that you can connect with yourself on a soul level. It uses the depiction of the Fae and spirit work, where, say, if you laid in a field and you looked up through the grasses, you could see the Fae and work with those energies. It's really about inner healing, finding ways of healing yourself emotionally. When I look at this reading as a whole, Jody, this strength is important. I mean, not only is it in your energy now, it's in the reading. I really think you just need to trust yourself and stop being so hard on yourself. Give yourself a break. Allow yourself the compassion, or maybe you need to acknowledge some of the work and struggles and actions that you've taken to get yourself where you are now. Also, with the suits on the table, you have air and cups. 4 higher arcanas on the table. That's often about finding grounding and structure for yourself, as well as with cups being intellectual processes, chalices being emotion. No swords, no wands. And I think that it's just as important to point that out, because I think you have the right mindset and you're taking the right actions, which is why you're not being directed by swords or wands. The messages you needed to hear today, Jody, are about how you're feeling about this and how you're thinking about it. Those are the main areas that you may need some guidance in. I do hope that this is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anything that didn't quite fit or didn't quite fit match. Hi, Maggie. Thanks for your message. I can definitely add you to the list. I'm just working on Jody's reading, just finishing up with Jody, and then I will give a reading to Arissa, Louise, and then you, Maggie. So each reading takes about 15 minutes, so Maggie, you may have just over half an hour wait, just to give you a heads up. And anyone else who might be interested, I have one spot left for those free readings. So thank you, Jody. I do hope that this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. If you've already added them in the chat, I apologize. They haven't shown up yet. I will watch for them. In the meantime, I will clear and charge the decks, and we'll move on to the next reading. So Arissa, if you're on the call still, let me know. And Arissa, if you're on the call, just let me know if you would like a topic or question to focus on, or it can be left general. Oh, thank you so much for that feedback, Jody, that this was spot on. I really appreciate that feedback, just letting me know that I'm on the right track intuitively. So Arissa, if you're ready for your reading, just let me know if you have a topic or question. If you've already added it into the chat, I will watch for it. It may pop up in just a moment. I'm going to start in the meantime with that one card impression pull, just letting me know where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to my Morgan Greer deck to focus on that question. Relationship, absolutely. So that's what I'll focus on when I get to that Morgan Greer deck. You're very welcome, Jody. Thank you for that message. Arissa, what I get for you in the moment is the 10 of Swords reversed. As I mentioned earlier with this card, when this card is reversed, it's about working through the heavy thoughts that were pinning you down or holding you back. The card looked like this, and you started working through these heavy thoughts, relieving these swords. It flipped around, and now you're working at removing these swords. So the more work that you do intellectually, the less swords are going to hold you back, the more you're going to be able to get up, be more free eventually. So I see you, Arissa, as doing some pretty heavy work, and intuitively or intellectually, working through the heavy thoughts that have been working against you. Now, do you have a question? Oh yes, relationship. I'll just do a general relationship and see what the messages say. I'll pull 3 cards and we'll look at how those cards speak to each other to get that message. And I'm just focusing on relationship. So a High Arcana, a Court card, and a Practical card. I'm going to go in the opposite order of that. This is the 10 of Wands reverse. It's basically saying to stop carrying what's not yours. There are these passions and actions that you've been taking responsibility for, Arissa, that are just not your responsibility to carry. So because this is about relationship, I think you take on responsibility for relationships that the responsibility isn't really yours. You may be holding past grudges or regret or guilt from previous relationships that are going to extend into the next. So make sure that you work through all of that heaviness. What I like about it is that you're working through these heavy thoughts. If this is connected to your relationships, I think you're on the right track. I think you're doing the internal work and getting yourself into a better place to connect or have those relationships. I think if you can work on yourself internally, you're going to be more confident and secure. You're going to catch the eye of that other person. Now, the King of Cups is also on the table. This is about making a decision that's emotional or inflicts emotion to make. Now, the difference between queens and kings, queens tend to be more nurturing, caring, and affect the people around you. Kings tend to be more forceful, direct, and there are consequences involved in those kinds of decisions. So keep in mind that this is an important decision. You want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. I think you're able to make this choice, or the king would have come out reversed, where you have to resolve a challenge first. This is saying you're able to sit in that throne, reign over that kingdom in terms of that emotional decision that you need to make. Now, in terms of not carrying other people's shit, for lack of a better way of saying it, and making that decision for yourself, the next card is the Wheel of Fortune. There is fortune in your future. This leads to a great place, but you have to go through the process first. There may be a wait period. There may be patience involved. But when you go through that patience, you go through that process and you stick to your goals, you'll achieve it. And that's what this card is saying, that you have fortune in your future. You just have to go through the process first. I really think it's up to you how you proceed further on this. I would just watch not being hard on yourself or not carrying thoughts and passions that are not actually yours. Does that make sense? I do hope that's helpful, Arissa. Now, I am wondering how I can extend on this reading further into another deck. Let me know if you have any questions or if this connects or makes sense. I'm wondering if I can look at my Zen deck. My Zen deck often gives great interaction, like the energetic interaction that's involved, and I might be able to connect with that in this reading to see what the energetic interaction of a relationship might be, what that would look like moving forward. I'm going to look at the energetic interaction that you need regarding relationships. I think that that might be more helpful in terms of looking for guidance or maybe even advice. So 2 high arcanas in a suit. I'm going to start at the suit and work my way towards those other messages. This is the laziness card. It's not saying that you're lazy, Arissa, or Arissa. What this is really saying is that you may need to put in more effort, or that you may be taking a break, or that you're kind of fed up and you need some time to yourself for a moment, or there's this period of rest that may be needed. Take that time for yourself. Allow yourself to go through the process. Do something for yourself that makes yourself feel good. That's what this card represents. It's not about being lazy at all. In fact, this was energetic interaction on what you might need for yourself regarding relationships. And it's saying focus on you. You need to put yourself first and take the time that you need for yourself. Don't change a thing, Arissa. Don't feel like you have to change anything. You are, this lion has been hiding amongst the sheep for such a long time, and now he's revealed himself, he or she. The lion has come out of its hiding spot using the sheep as a decoy, and is going to be itself. It's about revealing your inner self, your inner beauty, talent, skill, something. What's special about you that makes you different from everyone else, and just shine, be you. That's what this card represents. No longer hiding back, no longer hiding who you are, being your authentic self. The next card is the Innocence card, Arissa, and this is often about somebody who's feeling guilty when they don't need to be guilty, when they're feeling not innocent when you're innocent, basically. You need to remind yourself that you've done nothing wrong, that you don't need to carry any kind of remorse or guilt, and that you can move forward in your empowerment. It's about looking at the little things, finding the little happy moments in life. It's about going with the flow of your own energy. You are innocent in these relationships. So if you've had previous relationships that you're carrying those things with you, I'm really glad that you're working through those heavy thoughts, because I feel like it's related. You need to not carry the responsibility of those other relationships. I don't think they were your doing, your fault, and that experience may be causing a hesitance, if that makes sense. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, um, you have swords, cups, wands, no pentacles. And I think that's really fascinating because pentacles are about what you need for yourself. And because none are showing up here, I think you understand your needs. I think you know what you need for yourself, Arissa. You are ready to move on, to gain whatever it is that you desire. And it's just a matter of empowering yourself and allowing yourself that privilege. I think the cards are saying that it's basically a go, like you have everything it takes to do this. It's just a matter of doing, and you just need to go through the process. Take your time, empower yourself, work on those inner things first for yourself, and don't allow anyone else to interfere with that, including relationships. When I bring this reading right back to where you are now in the moment, with these heavy thoughts being worked through, I think you are letting go of these things that you're carrying. You are going through the process that's going to lead to this, and that will, you just have to make the decisions on what you need for yourself. I do hope this is helpful, Arissa, and that this made sense. Oh, thank you for that feedback. That makes sense. I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions or if anything didn't quite fit. Otherwise, I will move on to Louise. Louise, if you're still on the call, let me know. And if you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on for your reading, otherwise it can be left general. And in the meantime, I'll just start cleansing, clearing, and putting away the cards. So thank you so much, Arissa, for letting me give you your reading. I do hope that this has been helpful. I think your most important message in that is to empower yourself, believe in yourself, and I think the rest will just come together. Oh, you're very welcome, Arissa. I just got your message. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. You're very welcome. So Louise, if you're still on the call, let me know. I'm just going to start with that one card impression pull from this deck, letting me know where you're sitting energetically in the moment. Then I'll move to my Morgan Greer deck, where I'll focus on a topic or question of your choice, or it can be left general. Quite often, as I said, the readings that are left general present the messages you need to hear for yourself, but I like to leave it up to my sitters if they want to refine the reading for themselves, if they're looking for anything specific. Louise, what I get for you in the moment is the Ace of Pentacles reversed. This is often about an opportunity that you may not be seizing. It could be around in your energy, but you may not have realized it yet. And when you see it, when you grasp it, when you realize it, this card flips around and you can now appreciate and consider that opportunity. Now, pentacles are about what you need for yourself, and aces are a realization of some kind. So quite often when the Ace of Pentacles comes out like this, it's about realizing what you need for yourself. When it's this way, it's like potential to realize it. There's something missing, getting in the way, stopping you from realizing what you need for yourself. That often represents an opportunity that's in your energy, or that's potential, and you just have to actually take advantage of it. So you have to actually grasp it and understand that it's there in order to take advantage of it. Does that make sense? Now, do you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on, Louise, or can I leave it general? Thank you for answering, Louise, that I see you there. Hi. And just let me know if you have anything specific you're looking for from this reading, or I'll leave it general. Quite often, as I said, general messages are what you need to hear for yourself, but I just like to leave it up to you if you want to refine anything better or anything closer. So hopefully there isn't too much of a delay in the messages. If you've already sent your message and I haven't seen it yet, I'll just be patient and wait a moment and see if something comes up. Oh, there it is. It does. Okay. So I'm gonna leave this general unless I see a message come up. So a court card and two practical cards are what's come up for you, Louise. Where to start? We've gotten this card before, so I'm going to start here because this card came up earlier. It's the Ten of Wands. It did not come out reversed. Oh, General is good. Okay, thank you for that, Louise. I chose correctly. um, when the card looks like this, it shows the wands represent actions and passions. And you can see here this person is carrying way more than they should. Almost like they need to maybe put down some of the actions that they've been intending to do, lightening their load a little bit so that they can come back to it later, or not overwhelm themselves, not become burnt out or exhausted. That's what this card often represents. There's a lesson to be learned in this in terms of the actions that you're taking, how to do those actions, the strategic timing of those actions. Maybe it's about which ones you perform, what are more vital to complete, and what ones can you wait on. Sorting through this process. Now, the Eight of Pentacles is about reaching success based on what you need for yourself. We often do that by putting in the work. And you can see in the card, this person's working away at the Pentacles and he has some hung up that he's completed. It's about completing the work. I really think, Louise, that you have some work to do if you can complete the work. It may have to do with these tasks that need to be completed with these two cards speaking together. It could be about just getting to the tasks, start getting the work done, and make those decisions based on what you need for yourself, what you need to do for yourself. Now, the next one is the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is often about making a decision based on what's heavy on your mind. Now, as I mentioned, Queens tend to be more nurturing, caring, and affect the people around you. So these are decisions that aren't just going to affect you, they're going to affect others. And this is based on what's heavy on your mind. Now, what's really standing out for me are the roses. I really think that this is a passionate question that you're answering. It's really just a matter of sitting in that throne, making that decision. You can do it, because if you had trouble doing it, it would be reversed and there would be challenges or not allowing you to sit in the throne of the Queen of Swords. So because you can sit in the throne, it's just a matter of making these decisions. So keep up the hard work, make those decisions and what you're thinking, and try not to get overworked or overwhelmed by the amount of tasks that need to be completed. Oh, thank you for that, that feedback there. My internet is delayed. I do hope that you're receiving the messages. If you're having trouble connecting, you can always review this video after it's been posted on my Facebook, as well as it will be posted on my website, staffordtarot.com, and you can receive your messages there as well, just in case there was interruptions or if you're not able to hear the messages right now. Now, I am curious on how I can extend further into another deck. If you feel I'm working very busy, this makes sense. Okay, thank you so much for that feedback, Louise. It just lets me know that I'm on the right track. If you feel that this is about work and how busy you've gotten, I'm wondering if my pagan deck would be helpful to move next. This deck gives great insight in terms of balance between different aspects of life. It uses the aspects of like ritual versus ordinary life or mundane life, but I'm going to use it as more of a to get the balance of work. What's the messages you need to hear in terms of that busyness? I'm just connecting this deck to the energies of the reading right from the beginning and just asking it, what balance, what do you need in terms of balancing that extra work? Now I'm knocking my stuff down. Okay, 3 cards, a higher arcana and 2 court cards, and I'll talk about that. I'm going to work my way towards that higher arcana. This is the Initiate of Pentacles. It's about getting yourself in a new direction in terms of what you need for yourself. I have a feeling that, Louise, you need to sort of decide what you need for yourself. You need to decide what you want for yourself. And Pentacles are about needs. Pages are when we get into a new direction or realize a new path. They're often known as the messengers when we receive what we need to hear for ourselves. And for you, I feel like this is realizing what you need for yourself and taking action for it, doing what you need to accomplish that. The Elder of Cups is next, and this is often about understanding your emotions really well. You've done the internal work. You're the Elder of Cups, the Elder of Emotions. You have processed the inner workings and the feelings, and so you understand how you feel about this. You know what your heart's telling you. Listen to that. Because the next card is the Temperance card. It's about creating balance, finding what's right for you in that balance. What is the perfect amount, and how can you create that transition or that balance appropriately? It shows a depiction of someone who's working at her desk, and then she's creating an infinity symbol at the statue on her desk. And it's really about like she's doing a small ritual while she's working. It's about merging and finding balance between the two aspects. I really think that you need to do what you need for yourself. I think that you could be finding a balance in terms of this work, whether the balance is between work and home or two aspects of work. Um, what stands out is just how she's taking a moment to address her needs. I think this is what you need to do for yourself. This makes sense if I connect them to the cards. For example, the Initiate of Pentacles could be the work that you're getting done. The Elder of Cups could be the decisions that you're making. And the Temperance card could be about the actions that you take. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, you have cups, pentacles, swords, wands, every element's on the table. Every symbol of the tarot is on the table. And that's often an association for me that this isn't just compartmentalized into one portion of your life. Uh, Louise, this is overspilling into other areas of your life as well. So just keep that in mind. That balance may be really important. When I bring this reading right back to where you are now in the moment, I wonder what this opportunity is that could be around. Perhaps it's work related, or perhaps there's an opportunity to create that balance. I would watch, because when you realize what that's about, that's when the card flips around and you're now realizing this new thing that you needed for yourself. But in the meantime, it looks like this. I would look at that as an opportunity. There could be a way of flipping this card around to receive what you need. In the meantime, it's just reversed. I do hope this was helpful, Louise. Let me know if you have any questions. Oh, thank you for that feedback there. This is great, Brian. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. I do hope this was helpful. I'm going to cleanse and clear the decks. And Maggie, if you're still on the call, let me know. You're next. Thank you for your patience. If you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on, just let me know. Otherwise, it can be left general like we've done this evening so far. I'm just going to clear and cleanse the decks. Thank you so much, Louise, for letting me do your reading for you. Hi, Maggie. Thanks for that message. Hiya. General, please. Absolutely. We'll do a general reading. Of course, I'm going to start with that one card impression pull, just telling me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to that Morgan Greer deck where I'll focus on that reading, the general. Thank you for that feedback, Louise, that it really was. I'm assuming you mean that it really was helpful, and I appreciate knowing that. Now, Maggie, for your energy in the moment, I have the King of Swords reversed. The King's very forceful, direct, consequential decisions to be made. Something stopping you from sitting in that throne, not able to make that decision. You have to resolve the challenge first. That's when this card flips around, and then you can sit in the throne to make that decision. But in the meantime, it looks like this. Now, the King of Swords is usually about decisions that are about something heavy on your mind. An intellectual process that needs to be decided upon, and you're having trouble making that decision because it's reversed. Now I'm going to focus on that general reading as you requested. Maggie. I'm just focusing on your energy and charging the cards with that intention. We'll pull 3 cards and we'll just look at how those cards speak to each other to get those messages. So all 3 cards that have come out are reversed, and that's often a sign for me that this is a challenging journey or a challenging walk on your path. So keep that in mind as I go through the messages, okay? Where to start? I'm going to start with the 3 of Swords and work my way through the court and then into that higher arcana. The 3 of Swords reversed means one of 2 things, Maggie. There was this really, really hard communication to have, and you either avoided having that conversation or the conversation didn't end up as heavy as what you thought it was going to be. So it may not have materialized as bad as what it may have appeared it was going to be. If it appeared that bad, it would look like this. This is the 3 of Swords. You can see what those heavy thoughts are doing to this heart. Those swords are stabbing through it. When the card comes out like this, there's a really, really hard communication that needs to have happen or is having. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. My throat gets dry once I start getting into these talks. So I apologize for coughing in your ear. The 3 of Swords came out this way. This means that you either avoided that really hard communication or it didn't end up as bad as what you thought it was going to. So the ways in which you handled that communication may have helped or made it less stressful, less heart-wrenching. Now, the King of Cups reversed is the next one I want to talk about, because as I said, kings tend to be forceful, direct, consequential decisions to be made, and the King of Cups is about decisions that are emotional. Either these are emotional decisions to make or the decisions inflict emotion. Either way, it's a decision that's not being able to be made right now because the King of Cups is reversed. Meaning there's a challenge, an obstacle, something that has to be resolved first before you can sit in the throne. Once you resolve that challenge, you're able to flip this card around, sit in the throne of the King of Cups, and make that emotional decision. But in the meantime, it looks like this, being held back from making this emotional decision. I wonder if it has to do with some sort of responsibility that you're not accepting or that isn't actually yours that you have to take on. This is the Emperor card. And when the Emperor card comes out like this, it's usually about some sort of heavy responsibility that you're taking on. You're sitting in the Emperor's throne. When it's reversed, it's like not wanting to sit in that throne whatsoever. It's about the responsibility that you have to take, and it may not actually be yours. You're kind of fulfilling this out of someone else's obligation, or there's some sort of reason why you feel like it's not you're not obligated, but you have to, or it's not your responsibility, but you're obligated. There's some sort of feeling about responsibility in this. What's really standing out for me is not only the sword, which means responsibility based on those heavy thoughts, but the scepter as well as the headdress. That can be about mindset and how you rein yourself moving forward. I'm kind of wondering if the communication resulted in you not having to take on that responsibility to answer those questions or resolve that challenge. Let me know if that makes sense to you, Maggie. I am wondering how I can extend on this reading further. I might go back to my heart chakra deck. As I mentioned earlier, this deck gives great insight in terms of what someone needs for themselves, like from the heart chakra standpoint. And if I apply that to this reading, it may give good insight or advice moving forward. I really think that might be helpful considering all your cards are reversed so far, which is often about a challenging journey. So a higher arcana and 2 suits have come out in this deck. I'm going to start with the suits and work my way more towards those that more important message. Um, this is the Seek the Truth card reversed. This is suggesting that you have the information you need. You don't need to seek the truth. You have the truth. You know the truth. It's just a matter of acknowledging it. When the card's this way, it's about, pulling back the curtains or revealing something to you. Looking through the veil. It's really about something revealed. Understanding. Sometimes it's about truth. Sometimes it's about information. Sometimes it's about just what you needed to see for yourself. When it's this way, it's like you already know the truth, so stop looking for it. you know it's really just trust yourself, listen to your heart, trust your instincts. There's something that you already know that you don't seem to be acknowledging. Celebrate the actions that you've taken. This is the well-deserved reward. It's about putting yourself on a pedestal. 9 in numerology is about the end goal. What's the result? How do you get there? What's the destination? And when we take action to get to that destination, quite often the actions are more important than where they lead. It's like the lessons are more important than the destination, or um, um, the lessons are often the reason. Um, and so just allow yourself to go through the lessons and honor what you've accomplished. I really think that you can put yourself on that pedestal. You can celebrate the things that you've done. You may not be acknowledging the things you've accomplished that you should be proud of. And that brings me to the final card, the Listen card reversed. It's about listening to yourself internally more so than the people around you. If it was this way, you'd have to listen to the people around you. You have to, use your ears and your sight and your insight and your knowledge and gain that knowledge through what you're listening to. When it's this way, it's about listening to that insight internally. What does your heart tell you? What do the emotions tell you? What are the thought process? Um, you know, um, what do you need for yourself, and what actions do you feel like you need to take? Listen to your intuition, trust your instincts. Thank you for that feedback, Maggie. I just received the message there. This is an interesting and masculine reading. I am in a difficult spot in my life right now, and yes, the heart chakra deck is hitting the spot. I really think that the heart chakra deck is trying to guide you forward in the best way possible. This looks like a challenging time, just given the way that they're reversed, and how all the cards have come out reversed, including in the advice moving forward. That kind of confirms for me that this is a difficult spot in your life. Just know that the cards are talking about a lot of potential, and the potential that the cards seem to be referring to is internal potential of you yourself. I think you're much stronger than you give yourself credit for, Maggie, and I think you can do this. You can get through it. It's just a matter of doing it, going through the process and standing in your power. Um, you may want to consider flipping some of these cards around. As a tarot reader, I believe that cards are flippable to look at the potential of decisions moving forward. So, for example, if you take on that, if you take on that responsibility, have that hard conversation and make those decisions, this would be a very different situation. I almost think that this was avoided for a good reason, this hard communication to have happen. Or you guided yourself through it to the point that it didn't end up as bad as what you thought it was going to. Now, when I bring this reading right back to where you are now in the moment, this King of Swords reverse, not being able to decide on this heavy thought moving forward, that could be where you start, given that this is where you're at in the moment, and this is all potential in the reading. Start by looking at the decisions that you need to make based on what's heavy on your mind. That might help you decide whether you flip that card around or not, if you can resolve the challenge, whatever's stopping you from making that decision. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, you have wands, you have chalice, you have swords, you have cups, no pentacles. And I think it's just as important to look at what doesn't show up as what does. And no pentacles on the table means that you understand your emotions really well, that you understand what you need for yourself. Pentacles represent what we need for ourselves, either health or finances. And because there's no pentacles showing up here at all, I think you understand exactly what you need, Maggie. It's just a matter of taking the right actions, listening to your heart, following your instincts. Thank you for that feedback, that it was avoided for good reasons, so it lessened the repercussions to some degree. That's exactly what this card means when it's reversed, that you may have had that conversation, but it didn't turn out as bad as what you thought it was going to, or you avoided it altogether. So what you're saying is you had that conversation and it helped. But based on how you went through it, based on how you had that conversation, you made the conversation not as bad as what it could have been, based on how that card has come out, and based on what you said. So that could be the first thing to celebrate, Maggie, how you handled that situation. Obviously, it would have been a lot worse if you didn't handle it properly. I think the biggest message here for you, Maggie, is trust yourself, listen to those instincts, follow your intuitive sense. I think the cards are trying to direct you to self-empowerment. If you empower yourself, um, that's the way to go. I do hope that this was helpful. Thank you so much for that feedback, Maggie. Correct, and thank you. I really appreciate that. Just letting me know I'm on the right track in the reading, and you're very welcome. I really appreciate connecting with people and giving readings at these live events. Now, my next Tarot Talk live event will be happening on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. It will start at 8 p.m., similar to tonight. And that Tarot Talk topic is going to be about intuition, how we sort of listen to our intuition, different ways that our intuition can speak to us. And we'll get into that topic further next month on the 21st of July. I just want to take a moment to thank everybody who came on to this live broadcast, and also thanking everyone who received free readings. I really appreciate the feedback and the attention and the viewers. And if you want to check out more available free reading opportunities, you can go to my website, staffordtarot.com. Like I said, I have that other tarot talk coming up. I do the full moon and new moon card oracle pulls. They're both free as well for anyone who may be interested. And I do offer the one card impression pulls in person. If you see me at markets, festivals, events, or at the store, feel free to ask. As well as I do a draw. Now, the draw I didn't mention in the upcoming events. It will be happening this Monday. It's a 1 in 5 chance to receive a free remote reading over Zoom. So what I do is I literally put all the names into a hat, and for every 5 participants, I draw one name. So if I get over 20 names, I'm choosing over 20. Sorry, if I get 20 over 20 names in the draw, I'm choosing over 4 names. I always keep the ratio 1 in 5, so that if I get a lot of people, I do have a fair decent chance of winning for people, and you'll receive a free remote reading over Zoom. A short reading over Zoom. It's a 15-minute reading. Similar to what I was giving out tonight, except over Zoom, you get more interaction. So you're able to ask questions throughout. I show up the cards and you can comment. You can direct the reading in the direction that you want it to go while it's happening. So it's a much more interactive experience. And I do offer those through my draw. Or if you want to pay for a reading, I do offer paid readings as well, either through Zoom, recorded and sent to you beforehand, or in person live. I also do, obviously, in person readings at my store and at markets and festivals, and I do go to people's houses. I do corporate events as well as private events and parties. all sorts of options that are available, including our girls' night out, guys' night out events at the store. We're going to be hosting events for your private gatherings where you choose the modality of service that you would like at your event, and we put it together for you. So, for example, the last event that we did was a birthday party where we had a birthday celebrated at the store. They requested having 2 tarot readers available, so that's what we did. We had 2 tarot readers giving readings while they enjoyed their time um, uh, just celebrating a birthday. It was a great event. Everyone had a great time. Everyone got party favors, and there was a charcuterie, and it was just a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, and everyone got readings. That's an option as well. All that information is available on the soulintention1111.ca website. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on this Tarot Talk Live event. You can review all the previous episodes at staffordtarot.com. And if you have any questions whatsoever about witchcraft, Wicca, or tarot, you can submit those questions at askagraywitch.com, or you can check out the Stafford Tarot blog at staffordtarot.com. I have a pretty in-depth resource on that website if you're wanting to learn how to do tarot for yourself, including free video lessons, all available for anyone to throw yourself down a rabbit hole. So thank you so much. Please join me for the next Tarot Talk live event happening on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. It's going to start at 8 p.m. as I mentioned, similar to tonight, and that Tarot Talk is going to be about intuition. You need to watch for the live announcement that I went live on that date in order to join. I do not set predetermined events. I don't set them up as scheduled events. The reason for that is because when I do, I end up getting malicious people or scammers who come into the call, start trying to connect with the viewers. They make copies of my profile. They start reaching out to other people pretending to be me. It takes me 3 to 5 days to correct it all and put it back the way it's supposed to, and report and remove all the fraudulent activity. So the reason that was happening was because they were seeing the scheduled events and then attending the events. So I just put a little post. I let people know ahead of time. I do give the information on my websites, and people just have to watch for me to go live. I usually do it on a Tuesday. I was going to switch it to Monday, but that didn't work out so well. So we're going back to Tuesdays. And yeah, so the next one will be on Tuesday, July 21st. I look forward to connecting with you then. Thank you so much. Take good care, bright blessings, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.